Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and we're going to be talking about more Decentraland, more DNS Worlds.
Yes.
ENS Worlds.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
It's always good to be talking about the thing most hyper relevant to us, right?
Exactly, dude.
Because we've been Decentraland natives for almost 4 years. Actually, 4 years.
4 years already?
Yeah, on the 20th of this month is it going to be the 4 year?
No.
3 year.
3 year.
Okay, I got a little too enthusiastic there.
So
3 year anniversary.
In August or July, that will be our 4 year anniversary for
our own personal contribution. Correct. So we made a video, I think, a week ago, maybe a little longer, about the whole Decentraland World thing.
Yeah, so DCL Worlds is enabling, if you purchase a name NFT, you can make that your DCL World.
Or like the access to one.
Yes.
Right? To own one
and
deploy whatever the fuck you want.
So it's infinite lands.
Infinite land.
You're capped at 100 megabytes of data that you can put into that land.
Okay.
And then you're capped at 100 concurrent people on that land.
Right.
So with a name, you can send somebody a link. They can click on it. They'll enter your world. You'll be sharing that space together.
Yeah.
And then they can experience whatever you built in that world.
That's right. It's not attached to the Genesis experience, right? Where it's like 90,000 parcels connected in an open world environment, right?
Yes, correct.
It's completely tertiary. It's like a whole goddamn fucking tentacle system going on here.
Yeah. It's like, think of like little islands, like kind of floating around.
Exactly.
The DCL Genesis
fucking
land.
Genesis ball, and now we have like mad electron clouds all over the place. We're creating like a whole damn... This is how things evolve in nature. So yeah, things are evolving this way in like a virtual sense as well.
And then pretty soon they'll fuse, and then we'll talk
about
fusion energy.
We have infinite energy metaverse. Exactly.
Yeah. So now with this tweet from Jason X, so shout out to Jason here. We've been kind of chatting on Twitter about the potential of enabling ENS domains.
Yes.
The Ethereum name service domains to have their own world.
Yeah, when we thought about that immediately got us like fucking, all excited. Juiced up, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It was cool, man. Just to think the value proposition of that. It's like, dude, there's a lot of people who own ENS domains. It's clearly becoming the identity standard, like part of it.
That's right. So, people have changed their Twitter handle to be the, domain name, right?
That's right. Me too. Me included.
Yeah.
So... So now we're talking about, we've already broken the mold, I guess, with whole Decentraland World's concept of, I guess, associating like land ownership as some sort of like scarcity component to the metaverse.
Right.
Like, we don't necessarily, there's going to be value to that, but the only value that can be generated from it is if the metaverse itself has some sort of real value to it, right? Like it doesn't matter if you own like a small amount of parcels that were minted. If nobody comes,
that's right.
There's no economy.
That's right.
There's no real reason other than to like party on your little parcel, like for people to be even interested, right? So these acts of increasing accessibility, potentially now we can onboard millions of users, not just users, owners who can create value themselves, who individually could attract millions of people.
Right.
Like we just grew the scope of potential by like many magnitudes.
Yeah.
Right. So like, how could you not be bullish about this?
Yeah. And so I can understand how some people think that this is devaluing the value of land.
I mean, in the short term, it definitely does, in the sense that
in the shortest of terms.
Now, like nobody needs to rent your land, dog. Unfortunately, they could just buy a name. Spin up their own.
Yeah, it's weird because Decentraland just released a renting feature within Decentraland.
It's true.
And like, you don't really need to rent anymore.
You don't.
Right. So that market is probably dead
for now. Until again.
For now, yes.
Yeah, because my thinking, so just to make you guys, your OG land whales and stuff, a little more comfortable with this news is like, try to extrapolate a little bit more into the future where this works. If this works, I think this is our most viable pathway to like a mass market consumer product, like a Roblox competitor.
Yes.
We're talking millions of daily active users. Don't you think like the land you own all of a sudden is going to have tremendous more valuable because it actually is truly scarce.
Yes.
Right? In a world where there's millions of worlds, you own 90 or one of the 90,000 actual like layer 1 Ethereum Genesis plots. Like that sounds reminiscent to what? Like a Bitcoin value proposition, right?
I totally agree.
There's nothing really that makes Bitcoin valuable from like a utility perspective. nothing of value is being built on Bitcoin. The only thing value about it is that it's scarce.
Yeah.
It's provably scarce, right? There's only going to be 21 million ever minted.
Right.
So if you own a Bitcoin, you own one of 21 million. I think the same thing will manifest from land ownership in Decentraland's case, or maybe the other side's case as well. Because I'm pretty sure they're going to do this exact same thing.
Yeah.
So if you own one of those Genesis plots, like that is, yeah, you lost like the whole developer bandwidth value proposal. It's like, oh, I own this land and there's only this much of it. So that's the bounds of development space.
Yeah.
It's like, I control this.
Yeah.
And it's been provably like a bad thing.
Yeah.
As far as like what's, the overall ecosystem growth. So yeah, I mean, just.
And take a look at the numbers here.
Yeah, let's
so
look at that.
Decentraland land, there's only 7,700 humans who own land.
And that's pretty much it. Like that number was not going to grow.
Yeah.
Or like it's going to remain at that. The ownership might shift. Like, that 7,000 go from one person to the next. But that's it. That's the bounds, the scope of what's possible for this virtual world. Like that's
like nobody's going to be interested in numbers like this.
No.
Unless Decentraland does something.
And also, how many of those 7,700 people are actually doing something there?
No,
almost nobody.
I would say 10%. So like even maybe less than that.
Yeah.
Let's call it 10% just for like argument's sake. 700 actual active landowners in Decentraland who are like attempting to create some sort of monetizable pathway for this, or like an engaging experience for visitors. Like when people log in, they don't just immediately get turned off by the desolation and the nothingness of action, right?
Yeah.
They'll get bored as hell of just going from party to party to party to party.
Yeah.
It's like, this is it.
Yeah.
So yeah, now let's take a look at, I don't know, how many people own.
Names.
Oh, we're already looking at it.
Yeah, names in Decentraland. So we're looking at 14,000. So we've doubled the number.
Yeah, we're going up.
So now the market size for participants in the creation space for the metaverse has
tripled.
Right? Yeah.
Because now we're talking total 21,000 or so.
Yeah.
This is now 21,000 people who can own virtual space associated to the Decentraland ecosystem, where they leverage mana to create economic verticals, and they participate in the DAO potentially. Like it's just we're growing now.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we get it even better?
All right. So now let's take a look at ENS.
All right.
Now we're talking, dude.
Ooh. Whoa.
624,000 owners.
Now we're talking that potential. Remember that tweet I put out like a couple years ago? It's like, dude, once a metaverse or virtual economy starts to outcompete the GDP of like a small nation, that's whenever people are going to start to notice. Like with this kind of number, we're talking like, this is like a little European country, potentially 1 million people, potentially 1 million landowners are in that same mental space, trying to become entrepreneurs,
right?
Build value, build experiences that are going to attract potentially, let's say 100 per for that. Now we're talking 100 million.
Yeah.
100 million. Let's say like 20, 30 million of that 100 are daily active users. Now we got a competition to Roblox.
Yeah, and imagine now 600,000 people trying to attract, new users into the metaverse. I mean, that's better than the 7,000 of 21,000 people that we have,
or the 600 or 700 out of the 6,000.
Yeah.
This is clearly
a no-brainer activity for Decentraland.
Yeah, they have to, and it aligns with their manifesto of like, why are they thinking so much on like the SDK becoming like a framework, a standard, because they want to attract as many creators as possible, right?
So now let's think about this. So now 600,000 people, all of a sudden they have land in Decentraland, right? They can create their own little space. And so what does that do to the value of the Genesis land? If there's more people who are playing around with Decentraland, I mean, I feel like the value of the land, the Genesis land, has to go up just because
purely from scarcity.
Scarcity, yeah.
But also, if you have any MMO RPG experience, like if you ever played a World of Warcraft, a Maple Story, a whatever the fuck, these are vast ecosystems, ginormous, huge open worlds. But if you notice, there are like centralized hubs of activity, like main
you don't
cities.
see everybody.
No.
You only see the 10,000 people in the server and maybe.
But there's always these like pockets of space where everybody likes to congregate and like be present with one another and share.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Decentraland can become. Whenever we have millions of DAUs, we're all going to come to Genesis City.
Genesis,
And then big companies are going to notice that. Like, holy shit, Decentraland has millions of users and tons of them like to hang out in Genesis, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Let me spend $1 million a month advertising to
2
these
parcels.
people. Yeah.
Or,
let me rent out some space.
Yeah.
Genesis City landowner. You want to view 7,000? Let me give you a deal.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna erect this big Coca-Cola monument.
Yeah.
Because I have so much money, right? I can do that. And now there's value to tap into.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. See, Will's literally drooling.
I am. I am
thinking about this future.
I mean, this makes so much sense, and it's all, and it came from Decentraland's name, right? The idea of DCL Worlds, apply that to Ethereum domain name service, and then you're just attracted about 1 million new users.
Correct. So I think this is. I'm very bullish on this, and Decentraland now they're moving in the right direction, which is obviously super hyper relevant to us in MetaZone and Rovies, everything we do, because we've always believed in Decentraland because they have always enabled the most as far as, developers. It's not perfect. It's not as good as it can be, but it's on the right path.
Yeah. And check this out. So this is being developed by the community.
Yeah.
And it's from like a feature standpoint, it's actually better than your Decentraland name. So here's what it costs. So it's $4 per month. It's cheaper than running a website.
Yeah.
Websites are typically around $10 a month.
Yeah.
With this, you will get 500 megabytes server storage, which can be increased if you need to. 500 megabytes is 5 times bigger than what you would get in Decentraland.
Wow.
DCL Worlds.
Okay.
So 5 times bigger.
All right.
And 500 megabytes doesn't sound like a lot because we're all used to like terabytes and all that, but 500 megabytes is a huge experience. Like you can do a lot with 500 megabytes.
Good to know.
And so just to give you context, one parcel in DCL Genesis land is capped out at 15 megabytes.
One parcel.
One parcel is capped out at 15 megabytes.
And you usually run into like that limit pretty often.
You
right?
could. Yeah. If you're a developer, you're not optimizing your experience, you can run into it pretty quickly.
But on average, so you'd say that's probably about the average bandwidth usage of a parcel, or that's
on average,
15. So then we're talking what, like a couple hundred land parcels at best?
Yeah.
Like
easy.
Probably like the top end range of like how much space can you actually leverage if you're really going to create like a huge experience? 200 parcels is pretty big.
Yeah, it is.
That's like the size of a small district.
Now think of like the more centralized experience like Knights of Antrim. Like they could create like a significantly bigger experience in their own domain.
I think they're operating on like probably 20, 30 parcels.
Yeah, something like that.
And so they can expand their game sphere, game space by.
But here's the issue. There's
10x.
Now we're talking about like different kinds of problems for businesses trying to.
True. Now it's more expensive.
Now it's more work, more expensive, more stuff that you have to like build.
Great point, dude.
So
but
if it works, you can continue investing and growing your game. But I mean, it's still expensive.
But because thankfully because of Decentraland, they're going to create more tools over time, and there's going to be more options. Platforms like MetaZone, we're going to offer tons of solutions for this for you guys who want to create experiences but don't necessarily. You don't want to hire a whole development team and manage that whole fucking thing.
Right.
You can come to a platform like MetaZone.
Buy some apps, deploy on your ENS domain name.
Exactly. Well, first you got to create it. Create an ecosystem or game ecosystem, compartmentalize them into metas, and then distribute them to people who actually own this land. That's why we created this platform in the first place.
Yeah, and in that Coca-Cola example, they're going to buy their advertisement in Genesis Land, but they're also going to create metas that can be widely distributed to the hundreds of thousands of lands out there.
Yeah, that way you don't have to deal with Coca-Cola, the company, right? It's just like programmed into the smart contract levels. Like, you host this content on your land, you get this split. Yeah. Something like that.
That's right.
Well, it'll be figured out, right?
Like you get a virtual Coca-Cola and you get a split. Yeah. Coca-Cola gets a split, and now you're chilling with your virtual Coke.
That's right. So I mean, there's a lot of individual things that need to continue to mature and grow over time for this whole economy to work. But this is it. These are the groundwork infrastructure components to a multi-trillion-dollar economy that everybody else keeps talking about, right? These big banks and institutions.
Yeah, think of DCL name or an ENS World as just a 3D version of your website.
Yeah.
Now you can create any experience that you want. You can, support ecosystems like Rovi, CyberStrife. You can deploy them in your own land, become a node in these ecosystems, and benefit from whatever is happening within this ecosystem.
Yeah. So the only potential downside and why the community, maybe even Decentraland himself, might think negatively of this, because it's a no-brainer positive for the whole ecosystem as a whole, but like you said, this is like third-party orchestrated, right? This is an offering from some developer of the community. They kind of like want to spin off this offering.
Yeah.
So it's not aligned with the Decentraland ethos of like anything they release has some sort of like DAO tie-in or like a tokenomic burn, right, for mana or whatever. So this doesn't contribute to that.
No, it doesn't. So
the $4 a month you're paying is basically just hosting access space.
Yeah, hosting services. Yes.
Which $4 a month ain't shit.
Yeah,
but still, it's not.
It's cheaper.
It's
than
not
Netflix.
$4 in mana.
No, it's not.
You're not buying it and then Decentraland's feeding it to the DAO or burning it. So that's one thing. So I don't know if they're gonna get pressure. Like once this rolls out, they're gonna get pressure from the Decentraland community. Like, dude, this is great, but could you like inject some sort of
some burn mechanic, please?
Yeah. But if not, it's still okay, right?
Yeah, because you're attracting millions of users potentially.
Yeah, and like since we're deeply involved in Decentraland, we know there's kind of like a precedent forming, like from the DAO grant recipients, which the DAO does grant like
that's true.
Decent money for people to build.
Yeah, up to $240,000.
Yeah, and we're starting to see more and more projects like kind of
program
allocate like 5 to 10% of their revenues or their earnings to the DAO.
Yeah.
So imagine that in a million user ecosystem. Like the DAO is going to be making some yummy change, dude.
Yeah.
Which is to me the most important thing. DAOs need to function like businesses.
Yeah.
DAOs can't just be throwing money out and not
totally
getting
agree.
anything back.
Totally agree.
They got to get some revenue, dude, or else it's not sustainable.
Yeah. So having said that, even though we're all on the same page here, there's not everyone agrees with us, right? Big shocker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a tweet here. Well, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. So we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, and so now a community member decided to take on this action to build this out. But there are a few who disagree with us. And so this guy, he says, look very carefully at these pictures and think a little. After saying the idea is that the worlds were created exclusively for the DCL ETH domain. This will allow to receive a commission to develop and finance new projects within DCL.
So he's talking about that DAO alignment.
Yeah. There's no alignment, right? And so which is true. There isn't. Yeah. However, we were talking about how this is going to bring millions of people into the Decentraland ecosystem.
Yeah.
Which will burn more mana than anything that you can imagine, right?
And by the way, they're not just people. These are Ethereum, the Ethereum community.
Yes.
This is, if you're trying to tap into any layer one
this is the most valuable ecosystem.
This is the one with the innovators, the liquidity. Like, come on, brah. You don't want the ETH bras, like, dabbling into Decentraland space?
Right. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
So in the Decentraland namespace, there's about 38,000 names, 14,000 owners. But in the ENS domain space, there's 2.6 million names with about, it doesn't show it here, 624,000 owners, right? So if you're thinking about it, it makes more sense to enable this.
Yeah.
There's more value in ENS domains than there are in DCL
Only
names.
if you could mentally paint that picture of like what these numbers represent, right? Just consider them as like you're looking at your map, Google Map, and you're evaluating like city population census numbers or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Here's a town with 14,000 people. Here's a town with 600,000. And then you compare like the economic differences.
Where do you want to put your store?
Yeah. Where are you going to put your store?
Yeah.
Where are you going to want to buy your house expecting one day for it to appreciate in value? You want to go to that Bigly world, that Bigly town.
Straightforward, dude.
I think so. So we're thinking a little, and I'm thinking that's what's important here.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
think so. So, I mean, we'll see, dude. This shit's happening. So,
Yeah,
Again.
we're going to support this. I don't know if we mentioned that, but we're definitely going to support this because
yeah,
this is going to bring millions of people, right?
correct. Yeah. So, if you're interested, I guess, in hosting developer 3D content applications, developer user generate. There's a lot of ways to explain what a meta is. Just like we struggle with that ourselves. Metas can be so much. Right?
Yeah, it's basically MetaZone is an app store for the metaverse.
Correct. And when we say apps, we basically mean content with functionality.
Yes.
Things that bring utility and service to the user, right? Not something that's just standing there
Yeah.
and it's 3D glory.
Yeah.
It's 3D glory with, use interactivity, something of
It
value
could
being
be,
brought
could be a
to you.
game. It could be a DEX. You could deploy a
anything.
DEX on your
Yeah.
land.
A companion.
Yeah, it could be revenue generating.
An AI-enabled companion.
Dude, come
which is
on.
on the way, by the way.
I'm bullish, dude.
I am too. So I mean, the metaverse. So we always ask, like, when is the metaverse going to pop off again? Right? I don't think it's going to be fueled by Zuckerberg mania again the next time around.
No.
I think it's going to be something organic is going to brew, and
Yes.
we're watching this happen before
Yes.
our eyes. It's organically happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is the ethos of Decentraland. Communities coming up with stuff and
Yeah.
creating stuff.
Yep.
We created MetaZone. This community is creating ENS domain names.
Expanding the market by
Dude,
1,000.
This is how you do it.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna keep talking about this. We're gonna obviously, this is our stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Shout out to the Jason X. Appreciate the tweets, man. And let's get this thing going.
Yep.
If you guys have any questions, you guys disagree with us, please let us know in the comment section below. And let us know if you also agree. And follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MeadowZone.io, and at Roby AI. And we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.